Now, as you know, in the courts, fierce legal clashes are underway between the APC's Bola Tinubu and opponents of his INEC-declared presidential election victory, even as Inauguration Day approaches. But there is also fervent, passionate competition within the APC itself as its elected members battle for leadership positions at the National Assembly. In both the Senate and the House of Representatives, the duel is getting more furious and acrimonious as the race intensifies and the combatants try to pulverize their opponents. Becoming harder by the day to verify the constant stream of claims of support made by the rival sides. All this as Nigerians try to survive on dwindling resources. So while the politicians struggle for power and greater access to the remnants of that fast disappearing commonwealth, the country is being steadily destroyed by corruption, poverty and insecurity. So can this 10th National Assembly rescue Nigeria from the wreckage of decay, or is it likely to be more of the same? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Shamsudeen Dambazau, APC member representing Takai Somaila Federal Constituency in Kano State, who, along with his colleagues, is battling through the APC crisis of zoning in the House of Representatives. He is, of course, by coincidence, the son of the former Army Chief of Staff and Interior Minister Abdul Rahman Dambazau. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Charles.
And let me just point out that you're not actually coming back to the National Assembly, so you're not a member-elect.
No, I'm not.
But you are a member until the next set are sworn in.
Exactly.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So you've got a few weeks of...
yeah, up until June.
A few weeks in the spotlight,
yeah, a few weeks
before that light dims on you. But you are taking part in all the, perhaps I should use the word shenanigans going on there with leadership positions and all the rest of it. I mean, you're supporting different candidates.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, okay, we'll get to that in a minute. But let me start by asking you how you see this upcoming inauguration. Do you see it as a bittersweet moment for Nigeria, given the political turmoil that many believe the country is in because of the questions about the legitimacy of the presidential election? Could Bola Tinubu's moment of triumph be overshadowed by all that?
Well, thank you for that question. First off, if we go back in history, I don't think there has been any election where there won't be any challenge from the opposition or from whoever lost. And if we go back to the fathers or the founders of democracy who we, when I say emulate, we can go back to what happened between George Bush and the Florida scandal. We could, and we can go back between Donald Trump and how it was said that he rigged the election and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's something new. The opposition will always...
Well, it wasn't Donald Trump that was said to have rigged the election.
Right.
Donald
Trump said
claimed
Biden
that
claimed
the election was rigged against him.
Yes, in
right.
Georgia. And so these types of incidences are found world over, and it's nothing new. So I think the most important thing now is for cohesion, for us to come together as a nation to support our incoming president-elect. Right,
but given the fact that Nigeria is at least to some extent, I mean, you used America as an example. America was mired in political crisis for a long time. Given that Nigeria to some extent is in what could be termed as a measure of political turmoil, do you see the 2023 election as having moved this country forward or backwards democratically?
Democratically, I would say yes, it's moved the country forward because there are a few indices that you will look at to measure this. The first one you look at is being part of the 9th Assembly. The APC we were over I can't give you an exact figure, but over 250 of us were members of the APC. We had a very
You mean in the House of
House of Representatives, right. A very clear majority. And then the mix was not so diverse. But in this 10th Assembly, if you see the members elect, we have members from the APC, about 172. We have about 108, I think, from the PDP. We have about 34 from the Labour Party. We have APGA, NNPP, YPP. So now it's more wholesome, if you look at it. So this is an indicator that the democratic process has become freer and fairer, and it has opened up more opportunities for different parties, for people, different platforms rather, for people to stand on those platforms and be able to run for office and win.
Well, some would argue that it is a right that was wrested from the domain of control, and it wasn't given freely or any example of democracy. But you talked about, you used the example of other countries and so on that have been mired in sort of electoral issues. Can we say that, based on that for you and the APC, it is just about claiming victory in an election, however that victory has come about? Or is it about legitimately having the undisputed mandate of the Nigerian people in what is seen to be a free and fair election?
Well, you know, the basis of your statement has to be checked, first and foremost. Yes, people can speculate, and you cannot speculate without checking. And you cannot speculate without facts to back up what you're saying. Now, as a member of the Ninth Assembly...
Well, I asked you a question.
Right.
I said, is it for the APC, and it's up to you to answer.
Right.
Is it for you and the APC just about claiming victory in an election? Because you didn't say anything about, yes, there were anomalies and so on and so forth. You simply said, well, it's happened in other countries, so why not Nigeria? I mean, that's the summary of what you're suggesting.
What I said, Charles, is that at any point when there's a victor, the loser will always challenge that win and say, oh, because of such and such happened, this is why I lost. Oh, such and such person cheated me in this process.
So you think it's just an empty claim, do you?
It could be. And that is why the issue is in the courts to be decided by the judges.
Okay, well, let's move on from there. Let's turn to President Buhari's legacy. I mean, you were there in the National Assembly for a significant part of the time that he was in office. He was there for 8 years. He says he has laid the foundation for a prosperous Nigeria. Do you believe that he has? If so, how so?
Well, what I believe is that with the renewed hope that a platform is available and we have a chance now as Nigerians to actually see our country grow and be what it should be. We have an opportunity to come together and look at all these issues and then try to fix our economy, fix the internal security.
So you're saying that after
education.
8 years, there's really nothing to show for it, and this is now the opportunity to fix those things?
Well, you won't say there's nothing to show. You know, it's like an abyss. We have, okay, I can give you a simple example. I remember when I was a kid, my dad's first house in Kano, this was in 1990 in an area called Hausawa, Salleri. And there were a lot of houses, there was development and everything, but no roads. You just get your plot of land, no utilities installed. Now, the same thing...
The engineering works.
Were not there.
Yeah.
And then you see the government open up these new areas and do the same thing all over, and then you see the city now becomes this huge slum. And then you sit back and like, okay, when are these roads going to get any asphalt? When are these roads going to get any, when are these areas going to get any pipe-borne water or electricity, etc.? And so it's so huge that when you start, whatever you do, it won't be noticeable. So we have to really address these issues, but more than that, we need to have more intelligent, we need to have think tanks, we need to have a robust way of going and looking at the issues. We need to go, I always speak about Lee Kuan Yew, we need to really be aggressive in the way
so
we
after
deal with
8
the
years, and the fact that you have, according to INEC's declared results, collected another 4 years, you're sitting there and telling us that, well, these are the things we need to have done, and we need to have, I mean...
Well, we need to build on, because if we didn't do anything...
what are you building on?
We were building on his legacy, and that is why the APC won. because of all the things that he has already done.
That's a matter of argument. But you yourself didn't win.
Right.
So you're not returning to the House
No,
of
I didn't even
Representatives.
contest in the primaries, actually. So
Right.
I didn't go.
So
to
you
the
decided
general
not
elections.
to
Yes.
go. Why not?
Well, I have, before I got into politics, I was already into business. And I think I kind of moved away from my main calling and what I really wanted to do.
Yeah, but what is the focus of your last few weeks now? Because, I mean, you talked about supporting somebody in this leadership tussle that's going on there.
Right. So prior to the announcement by the party on the candidates of the zoning and the micro-zoning, I supported Senator Barrow Jibrin for the Senate. And
but what about the House?
For the House is
where you are.
Well, I did not have anyone in particular that I was rooting for, but I recommended Honorable Tajuddin Abbas even before the party announced him.
So you are supporting Tajuddin Abbas?
Not because I haven't sat with him. He hasn't asked me for help, unlike Senator Barrow Jibrin that called me and we sat down and he gave me an assignment and a task.
Right.
Yes. So now I'm with his ticket, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and Senator, I support them.
So what's your sense of the latest that is going on there in the House now?
Well, there's obviously a lot of turmoil, because of conflicting interests. But there are things that we need to consider as a nation if we want equity and peace. We need to carry each other along. And if I was going to be idealistic, I would pick the deputy speaker because the North Central, even though we can argue that the party has a party chairman from the North Central, I know it's a very strong position, but I don't count it as one of those executive or positions that gives you leverage in terms of authority to bring in policy and make meaningful change in the country. So because of that, I would have gone for Wasi. So I go with what the party is saying because the party is supreme. And Honorable Tajuddin Abbas is equally capable. He's a four-time member. He has a wealth of experience because one thing you don't want is to put an individual at the helm of affairs and he gets challenged because that will happen. People will try to test your intellect. And once that test comes to see and then you start faltering or blundering on national TV, then it's going to be an issue. So we need to make sure that we have people that have the poise, have the gravitas, have the knowledge and the experience. And that is why we always request, if you check in the House Standing Orders, you have to be a ranking member to contest for any of these seats. And it's because of the experience that is required. There is no way you just come in and be able to deal with the parliament and the plenary.
Without really having some experience.
Yes, I mean, for me, even I'm a one-term member, it took me about 3 years to really grasp the whole process and what was going on.
Did you like being there?
I love it.
So why didn't you compete again?
I will possibly in the future, but not now. Everything, you have to always set goals and know, okay, this is what I want to do now, and this is what I want to do next. And I think it's time for me to do something else for now.
You're running the family business, are you?
No, personal.
Right.
My dad is a retired Army general.
Your father, Abdul Rahman Dambazau, is a former chief of army staff, former minister of interior.
Right.
How much has he played a role in your career?
Well, it's funny. I remember the first time I told him I wanted to run, he was actually against it. And he said, look, I don't gamble. I'm not into gambling because of that. So, but eventually when I started going and he saw I was serious, and he's very proud of me actually, and he loves what I've done so far. Yeah.
So what would you say you achieved in your time at the National Assembly?
Yeah, well...
I mean, you're still there, but you've got, you're on your way out.
So coming into the House, I already had an agenda. And my main focus was about empowerment of women and youth, education, and then the economy. So I built over 30 schools and renovated schools a lot, and then I did a lot of training programs for the women and the youth. I gave them a lot of motorcycles for transportation because of moving out their farm goods. I brought a 50-kilometer road that goes in from my village all the way to Bauchi, because there's a lot of farming going on there. So I focused mainly on those things. And then we have areas where, by the roadside, we have these markets. And so what I did was put solar street lights, because you need to go through my constituency to get to the northeast. We border Bauchi. And so there's a lot of traffic. So what I did was put street lights in those markets so that at night, the economic activity can continue. And then the commuters can have somewhere they can stop to, rest, feed. And so with that, they spend money in my constituency, which will make business better.
Right.
So these are the types of things I really did. I was really passionate. I think we did not have 4G. I went to the MTN and spoke with them. They brought 4G. So if you go even into my village, I can access and watch YouTube and do WhatsApp now, stuff like that.
And that's, of course, in Kano.
Yes, in Kano State, in Taki.
And, I mean, what's your reaction as an APC person to the fact that the NNPP won the governorship election in Kano there?
Well, we had it coming. You can't eat your cake and have it. So there are, this is a game, and every game has rules. And if you don't play by the rules, you will lose eventually, even if it seems like you're winning, even if it's through cheating. And so there are a lot of major blunders that we made as a party and that we need to correct. And that is one of the major reasons why I supported Senator Barrow Jibrin, because I know that we do not have the upper hand in the state now, and we need someone who is a champion, a hero, who the people love, to be able to hold the party and bring people together so that in 2027 we can have an opportunity as well to get the state back and still keep the block of votes that we were able to get this time, and maybe build on that as well.
And you talk about holding the party together.
Yeah.
That's quite instructive, isn't it? What does that tell us about?
Instructive, I think that's a strong word.
Well, I mean, it is instructive because we're hearing it from you. You're a member of the party. You won an election on the platform of the party.
Okay.
You're talking about holding the party together. You're talking about having lost a vital election in your own state, even though you had the federal might and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You were the ruling party in the country. You still lost that vote.
Yes.
I'm wondering what all that tells us, and what is happening in the National Assembly at the moment, which you yourself described as turmoil.
Right.
What does that tell us about the internal culture within the APC? Because there seems to be a gulf between those who actually contest and win elections, such as we've got in the National Assembly, and those who run the APC party's bureaucracy, because many members elect, some of whom have sat where you're sitting from the APC, are expressing profound dissatisfaction and are continuing to defy the party publicly.
Charles, you raised a very, very important observation, and without any sentiment, the truth of the matter is that there was a major mistake. I believe in party supremacy, and the party can show a direction, the president-elect can show a direction, but what is important is you have to do things correctly. So there should have been a point where all the concerned parties, all the stakeholders should have been brought to the table. Okay, this is what we want from you. How do we go about getting this? And what do I give you in return for this? And we wouldn't have any of these problems. So I think it is very important that we still come back and have that discussion as a party with those people that are contesting.
Does that seem likely?
That is the best way to go about it. If not, we could have a situation like what happened with Tambuwal, or what happened in 2015 with Senator Bukola Saraki, etc. Especially now with the sophistication that we're witnessing politically, we have more people that are more independent in mind and thinking, even if they might not show it like that, but really when it gets down to the get down, like they are very independent thinking. And so because of that, there has to be, we have to put that into consideration and carry people along.
Well, it's very interesting talking with you, and thank you very much indeed for spending the time with us. I mean, you sound like a very intelligent young man, and I hope you go back to politics and try and sort of raise the bar once again. And Shamsudeen Dambazau is currently the APC member representing Takai Somaila Federal Constituency in Kano State, but for just a few weeks more, and he is a member of the APC. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Charles, and happy belated Mother's Day to my mother and my wife.
Yeah, good to get that one in.
I had to just sneak that in.
Yeah, unless you won't have any dinner when you go
Well,
home.
I have no dinner.